Welcome to Type 1 Roulette, where the ratios are made up and the logic doesn't matter. Split bolusing, how and when to use it with success. This one is from Jenny Ross. If you want your questions on the wheel, just comment below. To understand split bolusing, we need to talk about pizza. Now, if you are familiar with pizza and its effect on blood sugars, you'll know that you eat it, you stay nice and flat, and then you've probably experienced something like this where maybe 2 hours or 2.5 hours later, your sugars will start to skyrocket. Before we jump into how this solves that, what is a split bolus? A split bolus is when you take maybe 70% of the dose up front as you start eating, you wait 2.5 hours to give the remaining 30%. When do we actually use this? We want to use it for high fat meals, particularly it tends to be for most people around 30 grams of fat within a meal, but the specific number will be individual to you. Why do we want to use a split bolus? It's because it allows us to better mimic how our stomach is handling the food, the high fat food that we're eating. When you eat a high fat meal, like a pizza or a burger, it does two things. The first one is it slows down your digestion. The fancy name is delayed gastric emptying. This just means that it's going to take a physically longer period of time for the carbohydrates in the meal to end up in your bloodstream. The second thing that high fat meal does is create a period of temporary insulin resistance because of the increased free fatty acids floating around in your blood. How do you actually use the split bolus? Well, if you're just starting out, the safest way is to calculate your insulin dose based on the carb count and then experiment with a split. I use 70% up front and then 30% in 2 hours time. The specific split is going to be specific to your body. Diabetes is a very personal condition. If you're wanting to experiment and be a little bit more advanced, what we can do to try and account for some of the insulin resistance from a high fat food is increase the dose amount. So once you've calculated your insulin dose, what I like to do is increase it by 30%, then that new dose with 30% on top, I then split that, 70-30. So that's the split bolus, when you use it and how to do it yourself. Remember, this is for education and you are in charge of your own type 1. If you want your question included in tomorrow's wheel, just put it down in the comments.